I'm Charli and welcome to my show.
Today we are going to make a pumpkin spice caramel cake with caramel buttercream with candied pecans. So it should be super fun and I can't wait for you to follow along with me. All right, to make this recipe like I'm doing, all you're gonna need is a few spatulas, a pan, and a few bowls, and then if you have one, a handy dandy mixer, which makes it a lot easier. You can definitely do without for these recipes, but it definitely helps to make it easier. All right, to start, we're gonna make our caramel or however you say it. First, I have my heavy cream and I'm just gonna warm this up in the microwave. I don't want it to be cold because when we put it in hot sugar, it'll seize and curdle and won't be good. All right, now that we've warmed our cream, we're gonna add our sugar, our water, and corn syrup into our saucepan. And then I'm gonna kind of stir this just to kind of start getting the sugar dissolve. And then I'm gonna put this on medium to high heat until my sugar just starts to brown. All right, I'm gonna stir this just until it starts bubbling. I just wanna keep that sugar moving so it doesn't stick to the bottom. You can see all those bubbles. You can see it's kind of a really dark honey color. And I'm really slowly and really carefully gonna pour in my warm cream. Keep stirring this until it's real good and incorporated. Now, I'm just gonna add my butter, vanilla, and then I'm just gonna add my salt. Woo! I spilled some. Next, we're gonna make candied pecans. It's another word where I say pecans, some people say pecans. Whatever you choose is still okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put all of our pecans in the saucepan. I'm gonna put all of my brown sugar. Just kind of soften that up some. I'm gonna pour all of our water. And last but certainly not least, our butter. All right, and I'm just gonna turn this on medium-high heat until we bring it to a boil. So now that I've got these completely covered, I'm just gonna let them sit, stirring. We're gonna evaporate all the water that we just put in. Pecans really remind me of fall. I have no idea why, but I had to incorporate them in this. And I just really like when a cake has that crunch in the middle. So this will give it that. It'll be delicious. Now that this water has pretty much evaporated, I'm keeping kind of stirring just because I don't want all that sugar to burn at the bottom. And this process takes about 5 to 10 minutes. So slower is better. Again. Going to scoot this off of the heat. I'm gonna let these cool off just a little bit. And now I just have my cinnamon. And then just for a little extra taste, I'm gonna add some salt. Little guys out of here. They're going everywhere, guys. I'm being very careful because they're still super hot. Try to spread them out so they don't all stick. All right, and now I'm just gonna set these aside to cool. All right, so now we are going to make our cream cheese buttercream, which most people don't like decorating with it because it's such a creamy consistency and it's really hard to pipe with. But with this recipe, we're gonna get it to where we can pipe with it and it tastes good. So we're obviously gonna start off with our butter. And the trick to this is having it cold. Most recipes call for softened butter, which is important, but in this case, you want that butter to be able to hold up. So we want it chilled a little bit. Like your hand melts it some, so it's slippery, so be very careful. Now I'm just gonna beat this butter until it's nice and smooth. Now that our butter is all mixed up, I'm gonna go ahead and take my cream cheese and add it in with all my butter. This just mixed, and we just talked about this, it whipped for a fraction of the time. Just because it was so soft, there was no reason to mix it. But one thing I wanted to show y'all is it's still really thick. Like there's no movement to it. And that's because of the cold butter that's holding it together, and that's exactly what you want. That helps with when you add the powdered sugar so that it doesn't solidify and just become liquidy. So, very important, very helpful little tip for you. So I'm gonna scrape down the side of my bowl and change to whisk attachment. And then I am gonna add in half of my powdered sugar. Mix this on a low speed. I'm also gonna add in a little bit of our caramel right now, just to give it that caramel buttercream. And mix this just a little bit more. And then at this point, I'm just gonna add my vanilla, my salt, and mix this again. All right, so it's just incorporated, and now I'm gonna turn my mixer up on a high speed and whip it, and then it'll get light and fluffy and good to work with. Don't over whip your cream cheese icing. I've whipped it. You can see it stands right up. You can see kind of all the air pocket, light and fluffy. All right, now I have my nice, luscious, thick, whipped caramel cream cheese icing, which sounds delicious and smells even more amazing. Now we are going to make the pumpkin spice cake. So first, we're gonna pretty much mix up all of our dry ingredients. So I have 2 cups of flour, I have 2 cups of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt. Right here, I have 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and 1 teaspoon of pumpkin spice mix, which is pretty much all the spices you can think of that make this cake delicious. And then now I'm just gonna turn this on a really low speed just to get everything mixed. I'm just gonna add my 4 eggs all at once, no need to separate. And then I'm also going to put in my vegetable oil. All right, and I just wanna mix until it's just mixed, like almost like cookie dough. I have my pumpkin. I put in about half first. As you can see, it's gonna thin out the recipe quite a bit, so it's not that thick. All right, I have greased my pan, and I am just gonna put my batter inside the pan. I just finished pouring my batter in my pan, but I wanted to let y'all know I'm making quite a big cake. This is a half sheet pan. It takes a lot of batter. So I showed y'all how to make just a single batch, but to fill this pan up, I need 2 batches. So off camera, I'm gonna go make that, but I wanted to let y'all know if y'all are just having a family party or family dinner, I think 1 batch will be plenty for y'all to all eat and enjoy. So I wanted to show y'all how it was made with just 1. All right, y'all, I've gotten my cakes out of the oven. I've leveled them off, and they've been in the freezer chilling, and they're to the point where they're pretty much frozen. They're a little sticky just because of how moist they are and delicious, but I have already cut out 2 square cake boards. these are definitely rectangle, but I just said square, to cut out the shape we need. So I'm just gonna lay these on top and get my serrated knife and just cut right along the side. And because it's frozen, it's obviously gonna be a little tricky, but it's a lot better than having your cake crumble. But there you can see straight line, and you get amazing scraps to eat later. Now, I'm doing 2 hay bales, and each hay bale will be 3 layers high. First layer, complete. We have our buttercream made, we have our caramel made, we have our candied pecans made, and then I ended up just putting some of our buttercream in a piping bag, just fitted with a round tip. I have my turntable here. I put a little piece of tape just in the middle, and these are actually the boards that I cut my cake with. So I'm just gonna stick this down, and then I'm gonna get a little bit of buttercream, put it right on the board. Cake. And then I'm gonna use this bag that I filled with my buttercream, and I'm just gonna make a dam around the whole thing. Strategically sprinkle these on the inside. And I'm just gonna take my delicious caramel and just drizzle it right on top. I'm just gonna take a little bit of salt. I think it'll taste good, and just sprinkle just a little bit, just for a little extra flavor. Place it right on top, just barely squishing down because we have a pretty soft buttercream layer. And doing it again. This is just a super thin layer that holds in all those crumbs so that when you go back and decorate, all those crumbs don't go everywhere else. Really, you just want it as thin as possible, and you want to get it in the fridge to chill as long as possible until you can touch it and that icing doesn't come off on your fingers. Now I'm just gonna do it on every side. Okay. Ooh, makes me nervous every time. I get nervous every time because the top layer is always so heavy, and it obviously can constrict this cake. So I always say a little prayer. Just gonna fill my piping bag and get to piping. In a normal scenario, I would definitely just add a little bit of like drop of brown or tan to this just to make it look a little more like hay. But we are having friends come over to eat this with us, so I'm a little pressed for time, and I think it looks pretty good by itself.
So that's it. It's a great cake. You have to try it. The complete instructions are on my blog. I mean, if I can do it, you can do it too. It's a sweet and nutty and just so delicious. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please share with all your friends. After all, they'll want to try it too. And don't forget, hit the subscribe button. Please join me in making this world a better place, one cake at a time. From Charli Ann's Heavenly Cakes family to yours,
Happy Thanksgiving, y'all!